Hello and welcome back to the Serve to Perform podcast. I am your host, Delaney Osborne, and we are joined today by a very special guest, Jose Socorro. Thank you so much for joining us, Jose.
Pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about Latinxna today. We're going to talk about the impact in this area and then just kind of what Jose does with Latinxna. So to start, tell us a little bit about you, what you do with Latinxna, and I know you're a S.E.A.L team lead, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you. Yes, I'm from New Jersey. I am Puerto Rican Dominican, American, Puerto Rican Dominican in that order, and I am married to an Arkansas girl, which is why I'm in Arkansas too as well. Not a bad thing, a good thing. You learn to follow the good stuff. And I can tell you that I miss New Jersey a little bit, but I love Arkansas. Great to raise a family, great for work, and I love that you don't have to pay a lot of taxes. So thank you, State of Arkansas, for that. I currently work at Central States Manufacturing as a transportation supervisor. In this role, it's like one of the first leadership roles that I've had early in my professional career, where I'll be working and managing drivers, making sure I take care of everything from the maintenance and upkeep of their trucks, making sure I get them situated and they're dropping loads off at the respective customers. So it's just a never-ending process of serving and giving back and serving to perform. So when it comes to Latinxna, I've had the opportunity to volunteer. I think for me, the turn on was the empowerment forum. I mean, the speakers that were there were unbelievable. I only knew Dr. Adam, and then by the end of the day, I knew 5+ people. It was pretty phenomenal. And at that time, I only known Carol through LinkedIn, and then I met her in person, and we connected very well. So most people I meet them on LinkedIn, not normally how things are done. But in my world of networking and meeting people, that's just how it goes. And if I get to meet that person, that's a bonus. So 10 points for me for getting to meet Carol. But pretty much I've been involved through sharing content, supporting leaders like Raymond Arroyos, Vince Chapa, Dr. Betty Uribe, just those individuals. They're very active and involved, just sharing their stuff. And through that, Carol found an opportunity for me to get plugged in with Serve to Perform through Latinxna.
Super cool. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your role as a S.E.A.L team lead. Tell us what S.E.A.L means, and just kind of explain what you've done with Latinxna as a S.E.A.L team lead.
So I can tell you that the experience that I had with that opportunity was unbelievable. I remember talking to Mallory about it and Carol, how here I am, entry-level associate at the time at J.B. Hunt, and I'm working with some very renowned professionals, individuals that are rock stars in their workplace, leaders, decision makers, and I'm like, I'm just a young guy here trying to manage leaders and all. At the same time, I do remember it was very new, the empowerment forums or those quarterly events, so everything was new. But for the most part, I will give big kudos and thanks to Carol and Mallory, because they basically got most of it done. And because it was big, I was like, all right, Walmart CFO, pretty big time. All I need to do is just how can I serve and support? Because from my experience of working events of this caliber, you pretty much know that those behind the scenes organizing and they're on the payroll full time, those are the ones that are going to get a lot done. And they probably sought out every possible mistake and executed it so that the mistakes would happen. So all I had to do was like just be a shadow where I'm here, but I'm not here at the same time. The experience there was how can we serve and support, Serve to Perform to execute this. And so a lot of times there are times I should say I can be pretty headstrong as someone that likes to lead and take on the leadership role. But I also learned in the years, you got to assess the situation or assess what's going on to figure out where will I best fit or where can I best contribute. And so all the hardships or the lessons learned the bad way in the past helped me to approach this event as a, how can I help you? If I need to get the coffee, I'll get the coffee. If I need to wipe the floors, I'll do that. Set up the tables, I will do that as well. Because nothing is more humiliating and embarrassing than overstepping your bounds just because you have that title. But unfortunately with COVID, as it has done with many things, it changed the way we approached it. And it was really great. Brent had great points. There were some really great questions that were asked. Got to meet some great people like Martine with Kimberly Clark.
So tell us a little bit more about how you got started with Latinxna, how you maybe met Carol or Mallory, or how you kind of got thrown into it, and then tell us just more of what you've done.
Perfect. So how I got thrown into it. Well, it's never really how I got thrown into it. It's how did I approach certain individuals and got myself involved into it. So I met Dr. Adam while I was at JB Hunt. And then I said, let's meet for lunch. And so we met for lunch. We started talking and we started conversations. We stayed in touch. And then he introduced me to Carol. So Carol and I started meeting and talking. And then I went to the Empowerment Forum. But before the Empowerment Forum, that's how I pretty much got to know about Latinxna. Because I think at the time it was mainly just Serve to Perform. And I think Latinxna was in the works. So I just connected with the right people, was intentional about me getting to know both Carol and Dr. Adam. Intentional meaning I wanted to grow and learn and also appreciate them by talking and investing. Investing to relationships is one of the biggest things I've definitely learned
For sure.
through the years, and being intentional, not what can I get out of it, it's what can I do for you.
Exactly.
And Northwest Arkansas is growing. It is unbelievable. We have great businesses here, one of the best universities in the United States. And so there's so much going on, and to have Latinxna in a community like Northwest Arkansas with the businesses and the real estate and everything going on, it's great because there's a huge Latino population in Northwest Arkansas.
Sure.
And they make up a very, very vital part of the workforce for some of the big companies. And especially in academia, U of A and the high schools, we're going in different directions, not the typical traditional jobs like manufacturing and manual labor, but we're also going into education, mathematics, science, banking, and all. So we have a big footprint here. And Latinxna, I believe, will help connect the bridge for many Latinos who may not think, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, or I can't do so-and-so. Well, you have some great representation between the leaders that serve on Latinxna as well as the staff at Serve to Perform. So we're going to gap the bridge so we can encourage those who are afraid or timid or don't think it can be done. It will be done.
Yeah,
So.
and that's a lot of what Serve to Perform is too, right? Is learning and stepping forward and moving forward, and that's a lot of what Latinxna has become too. Is building up this community and this culture, but also supporting each other and standing beside each other. And I think that's what's so appealing, and I think that's what's so cool and so unique about it. And I think that's why it has the opportunity to impact so many people in this area. So we talked a little bit about on the impact video how it's impacted you specifically. How do you think it's impacted this community?
I think it's brought awareness for companies to figure out how to, well, not incentivize, but how to empower their minority workforce to not just settle for an entry-level job.
For sure.
How to keep your options open, don't be afraid to take chances. But also, I think one of the biggest things is learn how to navigate. So if you're in a corporate setting like a JB Hunt, a Walmart, or a Tyson, don't be discouraged because leadership doesn't have your skin color, but instead learn how to make the right relationships with the right people. Not every executive or leader lives by a high principle and moral standard. So if you're a person with principle and conviction, then you definitely want to find the right people in the workplace.
For sure.
that you can connect with, that identify and connect with you. And those people can help and guide you. And I had some of those people at JB Hunt that were great leaders. They've been in the industry for a while. They're very well respected in their field and in their teams. And they've taught me really great things. Now, were they in the same segment as me? No. However, they've been at JB Hunt for a while. And so they know how things work, how leaders operate, what will get people to get behind you and what will quickly get you in trouble. And so when you learn how to navigate through the corporate culture, the highs and the lows, that's the key. Learning to navigate and learning who to talk to and learning what you need to do is going to be key. So I think that's what Latinxna does. It says, don't be afraid to go to a director or VP, have a meeting with them, and get to know them. They get to know you. And then you tell them, this is what I'm thinking I'm wanting to do. How does that look like based on where I'm at and based on what you know about the company? And so that applies for anywhere in the corporate setting, because that's one of the biggest things I'm learning right now. And I'm still a young kid, according to most Serve to Perform leaders. But that's the thing, it's learning. So it's like in sports. I used to coach high school football. And one of the biggest things you learn is understanding the other team, understanding what's going on, and always keep your head on a swivel.
Sure.
When you keep your head on a swivel, you're going to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to know how to respond and react. And I think Latinxna is going to help many professionals, not only Latinos, but others, if you're the introverted type or the outgoing person who, for some reason, can't lock in those key relationships. You're going to learn maybe what's going on. I mean, Serve to Perform has great tools and resources. And I know that some of the leaders that Latinxna has, executives and non-executives, they're going to offer a lot of insight
for sure
on how to really fine-tune you as a person within your organization.
Yeah. And I think that's another cool thing about Latinxna, right? It empowers, it advances people, it helps them understand, it helps them learn. And it's not just people who are Latino, you know, that's the cool part. I am a white Caucasian woman, and I've already learned so much about the Latin culture just being involved with the videos I've done for Latinxna, or being involved with sitting here talking to you. You know, and I think that's the important part of our culture nowadays. Important part of our society nowadays is informing and teaching and learning and knowing that, you know, I respect you 100% in what you've been through, but vice versa as well. And I think that's the cool part of Latinxna. You know, we're empowering this Latin culture and this Latin community in this area. And I think that's something that's needed to be done for a very long time. And that's something that's been needed in this area specifically, for sure, especially with the big three companies, J.B. Hunt, Tyson, Walmart, all being in these areas. What was your favorite event? Do you have a favorite event from Latinxna that you've been a part of so far?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be the Empowerment Forum, you know, meeting Manny Fernandez, who is also a native of New Jersey. And to me, that's a special connection on a whole nother level, because I'm from New Jersey, and so I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and I'm like, most people can probably recognize, yeah, this guy's not from here.
Yeah.
This guy's very different. I mean, and then I got to learn to not be very Northeast, get in people's faces. Hey, how you doing? Because, you know, people have personal spaces and bubbles, and I just kind of break it in and just give you a handshake or a hug.
Yeah.
And COVID has stopped me a little bit. But if I know you, I'm going to reach in there for a handshake for sure, at least for an elbow or fist bump.
Yeah. How do you think Latinxna and Serve to Perform helped prepare you for more of that leadership role that you're in now?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is don't rush into a decision. Think about it and let's talk through it. So I do not have all the answers to life and the problems, which it may shock some. Actually doesn't shock me, but it may shock some. And so having the opportunities to talk to the Dr. Adams, the Vince Chapas, the Raymond Arroyos, who have walked life before me and have seen a lot of life and have seen things I haven't seen, or have seen things that I don't know the answers to, that has been invaluable. The biggest thing is the relationships and the wisdom that I get from those individuals that are willing to talk with me. Even Manny, I've talked with Manny a handful of times, and he's just a great guy willing to help. And so the information and the wisdom within the resources of Latinxna have been amazing. They have been unbelievable. And it's been great to work with individuals like Megan. I've worked with her a good amount, as well as Mallory, who is a rock star, and she is the real deal. So
yeah,
give a shout out to Mallory and Carol as well.
Do you have any final words you maybe want to say about Latinxna, or maybe about Serve to Perform, or
Yes.
what more of what it's done for you, or anything
Absolutely.
like that?
We need to get more people in Latinxna, and we're going to work hard to recruit solid young Latino professionals from all academic walks to get them here eventually. Even if you're not a business person, the experience of an event or the opportunity to talk to a professional who's done a lot of life for the most part is key. The information, and then obviously what can one do in return? Like, I don't have much to give to these wonderful individuals I mentioned, but what I can do in a form of giving, you know, I can't take them out for dinner or repay them for all the wonderful information they gave me, is just by interacting with them, supporting them through social media, and attending events. And that's one way to give back, because you're like, well, I don't have all the funds, or I don't have this resource, that resource. That's okay. Sometimes just being present and intentional and appreciating the relationship and not trying to leverage it for personal gain alone is a helpful way to give back to that individual. I think that's the other thing, is how do you give back to someone who you really can give back to
For
financially?
Sure. Yeah.
That's a big one. It's just simple. Be present, be real, and don't do anything to jeopardize the relationship, and it'll work out.
Yeah. Thank you again, Jose, so much for joining us here on the Serve to Perform podcast. We appreciate your insight. We appreciate your time more than anything. And we thank you so much for joining us. It feels weird to be back here, but it feels good to be back here too at the same time.
Be around people for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. So let's start with just telling us a little bit about yourself. Where do you work? What about your family background? Things like that.
Yes, I work at JB Hunt. I'm a client manager and moving into a sales role, which I'm very excited. I was born and raised in Mexico City for 29 years of my life.
Yeah.
Coming into the States and married an American was definitely not in my plans. But I've been here in the States for overall 8 years.
Okay.
And I have 2 kids. I'm married to an American guy that also works at JB Hunt. And I have 2 beautiful kids, Valentina and Patricio, which they are 7 and 5.
So cool. What do you do within JB Hunt?
I'm currently a client manager, and I'm really the advocate of the customer inside JB Hunt. And I'm transitioning to a sales role, which is very exciting because I'm going to have the opportunity to grow, to challenge myself, and to speak to more customers about the cool things that JB Hunt is doing right now.
So cool. Yeah. And as I can tell, you like the people interaction. So that's why you'll be good at
it,
that
yes.
new role. For sure. So tell us a little bit about your role as a S.E.A.L team lead with Latinxna.
Yes, that's a very exciting role. It has given me the opportunity to connect and collaborate with the other Latino leaders and contacts here in Northwest Arkansas. So it's been a great ride. I've been meeting with great people and has been given the opportunity to work my leadership skills and just my influence skills. So not only in my company, but within the community. So
For sure.
That has been pretty cool.
Yeah. What does it mean to you to be a S.E.A.L team lead?
I think it's a big responsibility, and it's a commitment to my community and to my other Latino paisanos here in Northwest Arkansas. I'm excited to develop myself more and to learn about others. Like not only with what I'm doing currently at JB Hunt.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. I've been with S2P now for almost a month full time, which is crazy that it's flown by like that. But the most that I've gotten to learn about Latinxna and just what I've gotten to be involved with has been so cool to me. And so impactful, because what you guys are doing and what you guys are doing with Latinxna to empower this Latin culture in this area is just it's important, and it's been needed 100% for a very long time. And so it's really cool to be able to see that kind of put into action and get to meet people like you who are working at JB Hunt, getting to, build this culture, build a community really around the Latinxna projects that you guys are being put on. So how did you get started with Latinxna? Did you know Adam and then just kind of spurred on from there? I know we talked to Jose, and Jose was like, yeah, I knew Adam, and then it just kind of fell through or happened like that. I met Mallory and then just kind of jumped right on into it. So how did you get involved?
Yes, well, it was really through JB Hunt. I know Mallory. She used to work at JB Hunt, and I think Adam has a great relationship inside our organization. JB Hunt right now is also really, really pouring into the Latin community, to the Hispanic community, because we are very diverse and we like inclusivity. So that's how I met Adam, and I'm part of the lead ERG, that Latino ERG, Latinos Engaging, Advising, and Developing within our organization. So that's how that connection happened. So it's been a great opportunity to expand and to empower the Latino talent everywhere with JB Hunt, with the community, with other companies, and just raise that voice for the Latinos.
Yeah. How important do you think Latinxna is for this community?
I think it's really important. It's really, Latinxna really lives true to their mission, which is empowering and elevating Latino. It's an opportunity that Latinxna gives us the opportunity to connect, to collaborate, to engage with each other in a very inclusive environment. So that is very exciting.
Yeah. And being able to be involved with that, right? And being able to firsthand say, I've seen this impact people and it's impacted me, right?
Yes.
Is the coolest part. I think that's probably what I would say, I mean,
accelerating, it's helping every Latino in Northwest Arkansas to accelerate their development. So I think that's very important.
For sure, for sure. What was your favorite event about, or that you've been a part of with Latinxna so far?
I think that, well, I've been doing a little bit of everything, but I think that the forums, and we miss being together around each other, and the Latino culture is about hugs and just that like camaraderie, affectionate. So that was very exciting, and just the opportunity of listening to amazing leaders in Northwest Arkansas in the community from different companies and learn from them. I think that's very valuable, and understanding and knowing that a lot of companies and a lot of people are really joining us into the Latino empowerment.
For sure, yeah. How important has Latinxna been for your professional career?
Like I mentioned before, the opportunity to develop those project management skills, influence skills, leadership skills, where I serve, so that's been great.
Yeah, for sure. How do you feel Latinxna has impacted this community? Kind of like what we talked about in the impact video that we recorded with you over Zoom. If you want to elaborate a little bit more on that, we can go into depth.
Yes, the value of connecting, and like what we were talking a little bit before, connecting and collaborating within each other. I think the inclusive environment that Latinxna has provided, not only I think even for the Latino culture, for everybody in this community, everybody in Northwest Arkansas,
is important for sure. Yeah,
yes.
And I think that is the inclusive environment, and just letting other Latinos know that they're not alone in this community, right? And building that empowerment and building that community more than anything, I think, is the biggest deal. And just a little bit I've gotten to know Mallory, and a little bit I've gotten to know Carol and Ari now, and Jose.
It's like that awareness, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
And having that awareness and building that awareness and continuing to grow.
Yes.
And I think it'll be a little different being all virtual with everything this year, but I think it'll be just as impactful.
Yeah, and we cannot just sit down, and this is not gonna be something that is gonna make us sit down and not continue with our efforts.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that doesn't matter. We need to keep strong. I need to invite everybody to join
For sure.
To empower everybody.
Yeah.
Especially the Latino culture, which of course as a Mexican, I love to celebrate my heritage and where I come from. So.
For sure. How cool is it to see that you're doing this with Latinxna and to be able to tell your children about that?
Wow, that's very fun to my heart. One of the things that I want to make sure that I raise my kids with my heritage, with my culture, with that awareness, right? It's funny because my kids don't look like me; they look like my husband, but they are half Mexicans, and I want to make sure that they feel proud, that they understand their culture, that they love their culture, and that they bring that diversity and that inclusion wherever they go.
Yeah, and that they empower that culture, right? And that is them. And that they're uniquely them.
That's who they are, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the cool part, right? That's the cool part. We've talked a lot about being inclusive and empowering and knowing the importance of who you are. But I think it starts so early. And to be able to see you having this impact with Latinxna.
It starts within our families. It starts with that awareness within our nucleus, our family, our friends, our close circles. And then it grows to our jobs, our community, and hopefully everywhere.
Yeah, and to be able to see you doing that with your children is so cool. And that's so important, right? Because when they're in their classrooms or they're with their peers, they're able to say, yeah, I know who I am and I love who I am, right? And to be able to empower themselves. I think that's just the coolest thing ever.
I know. It's very important to me.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that I'm also working super hard to make sure that they speak the language, they speak Spanish, that they feel very proud of their heritage.
For sure. And that's the cool part. I think that's what's really unique to Latinxna is the empowerment and knowing, be who you are and love who you are, because you have a group of people around you supporting you and including you and promoting you and everything that they can do. For sure. I think that's so cool. Your energy is contagious, and that's the cool part.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's what...
I hope it sounds good.
No, it does. It sounds so good. And that's the unique part, right? You know, me having a conversation with Jose was completely different than me having a conversation with you, but that's the cool part.
Yes.
And that's the unique part of Latinxna. You know, getting to meet these people and getting to meet diverse groups of people who at the same time are all very much alike, and they might not even know it. You know, and I think that's what's so unique. I think that's what's so individual, and I think that's what's so important for this area specifically, especially being a southern state. You know, knowing that Latinxna is important in this community could empower and build up a lot.
Recognizing the strength of the Latino community, I think that's definitely so important.
For sure.
Because we recognize each other and we help each other to succeed and to accomplish greater things outside of our little you know, like, environment.
For sure. For sure. And that's what's so cool, right? Having Latinxna as a forum to dive into, as an outlet to go to, as a group to say, hey, I'm going to help you succeed just as much as you're going to help me succeed. I think that's what's so unique about it. And I think that's what's important, you know, and the more and more we grow and the more Carol and Mallory put into this, you know, it's just amazing. And it's so unique and it's so cool. Looking back on 2020, what areas do we look forward to grow in when it comes to Latinxna?
Yes, we feel very passionate about the Latino culture in my house, and it's been a great ride with my husband and my kids. I love having his support, and this becomes who we are as a family. So for 2021, I just wish that Latinxna keeps inspiring us. Like, it inspired me to move forward with this awareness, this recognition, this empowerment. You know, nothing is gonna stop us, not even in this virtual world. Hopefully by 2021 we can be together again and sitting face to face and feel each other, but it has to keep going, and we need people to join us and to feel excited about it, because this goes beyond the superficial. It goes back to our hearts and what do we want for our kids and the future. So I'm very excited about 2021, and I'm happy to be part of this and to help Latinxna, inspiring other people, other Latinos and not Latinos to join to this amazing forum and group, because everybody's amazing in Latinxna. It's been great knowing these beautiful hearts behind Latinxna.
Yeah. How important is an empowerment forum in a time that we're all virtual, where we can't have those authentic interactions every day at the workplace or in public? How important?
It's more relevant than ever.
Yeah.
This is where we need to just keep pushing and push harder.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, in this, you know, where everybody in a virtual environment, it just, you know, it gets a little bit, you know, tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get across the message when you know, sometimes you're behind a computer, but still the heart. I think when there's a true message and it's felt through the heart, it doesn't matter if it's a computer or if it's face to face. Like, I think I can feel it. So hopefully everybody can feel it too.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Ari, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight and your awesome words.
With those that practice servant leader the best, what you will learn and gain from them is watching how they model it. And they model it by asking lots of questions.